Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello, and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of our nonprofit organization, the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, and our affiliated political committee, the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp. We have an exciting show for you tonight. We have some exclusive video of someone caught in the act of trying to steal a medical marijuana garden. So stay tuned for that. We'll have that toward the end of the show. We'll have some other film clips as well. Mr. Tim Pate is here to provide musical, hello Tim, mastery and accompaniment and entertainment and all of that stuff. We have an exciting show. We have a few hemp news stories we'll start out here with in just a moment, but before we get to those, let's bring on the infamous. Oh, we don't have our infamous dancing cannabis leaves. Well, that's okay. We'll just launch right into the hemp news segment of the show then.
Live TV, ain't it wonderful?
Hey, yeah, I can roll with that. Our first story is from Washington, D.C. Members of Congress demand DEA allow for the private production of cannabis. 45 members of Congress signed a letter this week demanding that the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA, allow private sources to manufacture cannabis for FDA-approved clinical research. The bipartisan letter, addressed to DEA Administrator Karen Tandy, urges the agency to abide by a February 2007 ruling by DEA Administrative Law Judge Mary Ellen Bittner that found that the private production of cannabis is in the public's interest. Bittner's ruling was in response to the DEA's rejection of a 2001 application by the University of Massachusetts, or UMass, at Amherst, that sought permission to manufacture cannabis for FDA-approved clinical protocols. Because Judge Bittner's 2007 ruling is non-binding, the DEA has no deadline to act on it. Under the current policy, all federally approved research on marijuana must utilize cannabis supplied by and grown under contract with the U.S. National Institute on Drug Abuse, or NIDA. All of that's grown in Oxford, Mississippi, and it's processed in the Research Triangle in Durham, North Carolina, into cigarettes, some of which is used for research and some of which supplies 5 people who were left from the compassionate use program that the government had from 1980 to 1991. In 1991, President Bush ended that program, but they still supply 5 patients with 6 pounds of marijuana per year. That's the federal government assumes that's the amount they need to treat their illness. But by contrast, other controlled substances, including LSD, heroin, and ecstasy, are available to researchers from multiple private manufacturers. In 2004, the agency's director, Nora Volkow, stated that it's not NIDA's mission to study the medical uses of marijuana. NIDA's monopoly is unjustified since federal law clearly requires adequate competition in the manufacture of Schedule I and Schedule II controlled substances. The congressional letter states, quote, "The University of Massachusetts Amherst is one of the most distinguished research universities and is highly qualified for manufacture of marijuana for legitimate medical and research purposes. We urge you to follow its legitimate and privately funded scientific research that will be conducted." Let's see here. Our next story is defense contractors are awarded billions to assist in the drug war. From Washington, D.C. again. Federal contracts totaling $15 billion have been awarded to 5 U.S. defense contractors, including Raytheon and Lockheed Martin, to pay for counter-narcotics efforts overseas, according to a recent report published online by the government executive website. He said, quote, "Contractors shall provide security and related services in support of counter-narco-terrorism due to the rapid adaptability of the counter-narco-terrorist threat. Special federal government spending authorities are now available on behalf of the Pentagon's Counter-Narcoterrorism Technology Program Office. The contract will provide equipment, materials, and services to the Pentagon's Counter-Narcotics Program. A separate Washington Post article states program develops and deploys technology services to the Pentagon's counter-narcotics research program and deploys technology that aids in disrupting and deterring and denying the flow of illegal drugs, people, information, money, and weapons related to illegal drug trafficking and narco-terrorism, end quote, from that congressional letter. The size and scope of the contracts highlights the expanded role private contractors are now playing in federal anti-drug efforts, according to this website, governmentexecutive.com. Contract awardees include Raytheon Technical Services Company, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, Eric Inc., and Blackwater USA. The awarding of these contracts illustrates once again that the federal government's so-called war on drugs is not just a rhetorical ploy. To politicians and federal bureaucrats, the drug war is just as real as America's current military efforts in Iraq or Afghanistan, though most Americans remain unaware that billions of their hard-earned dollars are being siphoned to pay for these so-called anti-drug operations conducted by corporate mercenaries. The full text of this governmentexecutive.com story is available online at govexe.com. That's govexe.com. Our last story tonight is from Dublin, Ireland. It talks about how cannabis is offering hope to Alzheimer patients in a new study. Marijuana compounds offer an alternative approach for treating neurodegeneration associated with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, according to a forthcoming review in the British Journal of Pharmacology. Investigators at the Trinity College in Dublin report that cannabinoids have been shown to protect neurons from the deleterious effects of amyloid plaque, the primary pathological hallmark of Alzheimer's. Cannabinoids also demonstrate a propensity to reduce oxidative stress and inflammation, while also promoting neurogenesis, or the birth of new neuronal cells, the authors report. The authors write, quote, "In recent years, the proclivity of cannabinoids to exert a neuroprotective influence has received substantial interest as a means to mitigate the symptoms of neurodegenerative conditions. Cannabinoids offer a multifaceted approach for the treatment of Alzheimer's disease by providing neuroprotection and reducing neuroinflammation, while simultaneously supporting the brain's intrinsic repair mechanisms by augmenting neurotrophin expression and enhancing neurogenesis. Manipulation of the cannabinoid pathway offers a pharmacological approach to the treatment of Alzheimer's disease that may be efficacious in the current treatment regimens," end quote. Preclinical studies have demonstrated that cannabinoids can delay disease progression in animal models of several neurodegenerative diseases, including multiple sclerosis and amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. The full text of this study, Alzheimer's Disease Taking the Edge Off with Cannabinoids, will appear in the British Journal of Pharmacology, and can also be seen at nature.com. You can see the full text of that. So that's the end of our hemp news segment tonight. Now we're going to the illustrious Mr. Tim Pate. How are you doing, Tim?
I'm good, but I don't have any dancing cannabis leaves. What happened?
I don't know. You know, it's public access. I didn't get to grab my keyboard. I had a lot harder time scrolling the screen. Normally I manually take it with a keyboard, and this time I did it with a mouse, which is much more difficult.
Sometimes it just happens that way.
Harder.
It really does. It really does.
There's the secret of TV. I guess you're not supposed to talk about the secrets. It's like the magician, revealing the secret of the trick or something.
That's right. That's right. Well, we haven't revealed anything, really. It's all behind the counter.
That's true. That's true. All right. So, Tim, you have a song for us tonight,
I think I'm going to do something I did. I wrote this maybe 20 years ago. It's the first thing I ever did for ABC.
It was 20 years ago today.
Or more. Yeah. So, anyway, it's just a little something. I'm just going to play it.
All right. All right, Tim. That's a very nice song there. Good work. If you were out there tonight, the 21st of September, 2007, also known as Equinox, you can call us at 503-288-4448. We'll be taking your calls right up to the top of the hour. We do have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How you doing, Paul?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I just had a email that arrived in my email from ASA today.
Uh-huh.
I was
They
wondering if you were
saved
familiar with it, if you'd
the
seen
medical marijuana program.
Right.
I saw that. I'm so grateful to them.
I am too. I was curious whether or not there was any interactivity either going on or contemplated by THCF.
Sure.
With them. Are you doing anything with them?
Well, we give out some of their literature at our office, and I've done a press conference and radio interview with Steph Scherer, the executive director of ASA in Colorado. Oh, it was almost a year ago, and we both worked together with a Colorado group there, Sensible Colorado, to help expand patient rights in Colorado. In fact, they just won a big victory there by the state of Colorado had decided to limit caregivers to 5 patients, and Sensible Colorado filed a lawsuit to throw that out. And now the lawsuit went successfully, and the courts ordered that the state couldn't limit caregivers to just 5 patients.
Excellent.
And so that was one big victory. And I know ASA continues to work, especially with a lot of the dispensaries down in California. They've gotten quite a bit of support from there, and they've done some good things. I was really amazed how quickly they've grown. And if in fact their numbers can be believed, they've grown from nothing to 30,000 members in just a couple of years.
Right.
So, that's pretty phenomenal. So I think not just a couple of years, more like 5 years. But, we're working with them. We give out some of their literature. They promote some of the things we do, especially our recent victory in federal court protecting patients' medical privacy.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Paul, congratulations on that. That was excellent.
Yeah, thank you. We were really proud. The American Civil Liberties Union really came to bat for us with a real expert legal team. And we were fortunate that the judge ruled in favor of protecting patient privacy. The ruling was really very powerfully written by this Judge Whaley, who's the chief judge for the Eastern District of Washington State. At the very end of it, he said, quote, our clinic, or actually he said the THCF medical clinic's work is integral to the success and implementation of the medical marijuana program. And I felt really good about that.
Yeah.
For our listeners,
Definitely.
ASA is the Americans for Safe.
Is there any...
Americans for Safe Access, which is a patient support group out there. There's a really pretty interesting story there that they popped out there with. I'm sure if it had been a public issue, they would have received even more support.
Right. Well, it seems like they blocked something that was trying to sneak in the door.
That's what they said. I mean, I don't know the background on it or anything, but there are a lot of little bills out there that folks are trying to strike down medical marijuana. It's a bunch of us out here, including ASA and other patient groups that have, bound together to try to advance this cause.
Is there? Do you have any prohibition against listing their web address for your?
Oh no. Do you have that there? I can't remember right off the bat.
It's www.americansforsafeaccess.org.
All right.
Now, is that 4 spelled out, or is it F-O-R?
It's spelled out.
F-O-R.
Okay.
Yeah.
Americans, plural,
Okay.
for safeaccess.org.
Yeah, they've done a lot of really good work. And like I said, we do hand out some of their literature in our clinics, not just here in Oregon, but in all the various states we work in.
Well, I think it would be something that would move our cause forward more quickly if the various groups such as ASA and NORML and THCF and the like would support each other's efforts?
I agree.
Not simply as far as giving away their literature, but as far as donating something to their cause for their lobbyists.
Yeah. Well, we haven't provided financial support to ASA, but they actually are pretty well funded. But donations to them could be particularly useful. Our organization's funded SAFER in Colorado, the campaign in Nevada to end adult marijuana prohibition last year. We donate quite a bit of funds to other organizations, and things like the Hempstock Festival that we had here just a couple weeks ago. And not this year, but last year, we were one of the main sponsors of the Seattle Hemp Fest. So we provided pretty substantial support in terms of that.
Excellent.
And so we even give $500 each month to UNICEF's drive for AIDS orphans in Africa. So I'm very proud of that in particular. It's not cause-related, but it's certainly an issue that needs support, and that alone provides support for about 50 kids so they can get their antiviral medications and live.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
My concern, and yours as well, and Tim.
That's a tortoise. That's the magic tortoise. Did you see that?
No, I didn't.
There he is.
The magic tortoise.
He is the tortoise that poops the magic poop that makes the buds grow so sweet.
Oh, really?
Buddy the tortoise. He's about 2.5 feet across. He's a big tortoise, and he's grown. He's only about 3 years old. I guess he grows a lot larger.
And this is live in the studio right now.
He's live in the studio. Buddy the tortoise.
Cool.
This is cable access television, folks,
You never know who's going to show up to the show.
Really.
And we
wouldn't mind coming to watch it myself sometime.
Yeah, we've got a studio audience.
How do I
come out here?
How do I get to participate in the studio audience?
Well, you just come on down here to 2766 Northeast MLK Boulevard. It's about a mile north of the Lloyd Center area, 1 block north of the Nike factory store. It's at the corner of Graham and MLK. Graham, like the cracker, Graham.
What was that address again? 24?
It's 2766.
27.
Northeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, or MLK Boulevard, if you want to know the short version.
Just 1 block north of the Nike store.
1 block north of the Nike store. If you're riding the bus, get off at the Nike store and walk that last block.
Okay.
But yeah, we're here live at 8, so you want to be here a little before that.
Do we still sell season tickets to the show?
It's absolutely free. Donations are accepted, but it's absolutely free.
Well, I was going to say those season tickets ought to be at least as hot as the Blazer tickets now with Odin down.
You never know.
I'm sad about that. I got to meet Greg Oden this winter, or this last summer.
Buddy,
so.
come to
Very
me,
sad. Buddy.
I really think he's going to make his contribution next year.
I agree with you. I think
he's making his contribution this year, I can tell you that. He's doing quite well. We'll see pictures as Tim Pate sings of the magic transformation of Buddy's feces.
Yes, and true.
All right. Well, I will get off.
This is a little
here.
early. This is too early, actually.
Well, I'll get off the horn here, Tim, and let your other listeners.
All right. Well, thanks for calling.
Hey, thanks a lot. You guys have a great weekend.
You too.
You
Bye-bye.
too. If you're out there and you want to watch us tonight, or you want to call us tonight on Equinox, the day's just as long as the night tonight.
It's true.
The 1 day of the half year. Mm-hmm. Then you should call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448.
What's that pretty little thing in front of you there, Paul?
This is a flower. It's a cannabis flower. It's a little early. I was just happy enough to bring that in to, put there, and maybe after the show, you never know what might happen.
Hey, one other quick question.
I don't think it's going to survive the night. Let's just put it that way.
It's like Spanish.
One other quick question.
Yeah.
Is there
I'm going to open this box right here live on television because I haven't opened it yet. If I had, I wouldn't have to do this. But this is the way we get these bottles from all over the place. In this case, this one's from France.
Oh, wow.
From France.
What do we got
And
here?
it's a French thing that I got through eBay. All of our bottles come through there. And don't you guys go out there and order them too, because I'll outbid. No, never mind. Don't drive my bids up.
One more quick question.
Okay.
One more quick question.
It's all part of the foundation,
ask away.
too, you know. We're opening a museum someday, and it'll be free to all patrons.
My question is there
Oh, you got a question? You're still there? That's amazing. What?
My question is there a kit or technique out there that's commercially available to be able to test the THC content of your medicine?
No.
No.
Unfortunately, there's not anything that can just say, okay, you've got 13% THC or something like that on the market currently.
Don't they need a
Those are
Magnus spectrometer?
Something like that.
I think that's the tool.
There's a little test that the police have where everything turns blue if there's any THC present. And I saw one police officer say, "Oh, that turned blue really quick. That must be really good stuff." So that's as scientific as they get.
I understand that over in Amsterdam, they will grade the hash that they sell in the coffee shops over there, and it's either a 24% or a 36%, and they use a Magnus spectrometer to do that specific thing.
So
Is that how they do it?
Yep.
There's no cheap little test kit a guy can get to see how
Wrapped
his,
in newspaper.
how his things are growing.
It's a big jar. This is
Well,
a...
good night, gentlemen.
Good night.
Thanks for calling.
I know, we're not
Okay.
paying attention. It's
If
just like,
you're
I'm so
out
involved
there
with
and you
this.
want to call us at 503
What do we got there?
288-4448. That's 503
That's cool.
288-4448. Just imagine having this at your drugstore, going into the pharmacy and said, "I'd like a kilo of hashish." Wouldn't that be fun? Here's a French newspaper, straight from France.
Very cool.
France. There
And
it
what
is.
can you say about this?
The latest addition to the THCF Medical Museum. And so we'll have to show you more in the weeks to come, but that's the one just in today. So you're completely calmed down after the Hempstock Festival now, Tim?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. After we had a debriefing meeting last week, and all the volunteers who were on the core staff showed up, and
I took my briefs off.
we just we all did. It was let it all down and relax and have a good time, and it was. As far as I'm concerned, Hempstock this year was a great success, and I was very pleased with the number of volunteers that came out and what every volunteer was willing to do. I was really happy with the police and their interaction with our crowds and all the people there. I was very pleased with the security we brought in, and it seemed like everything worked how we were hoping it would work. There were traffic issues, and we're hoping that some of these things will work themselves out over next year. We know we're going to try and put in an application to go back to the waterfront this next year. So when that happens...
And we're going to go to a 3-day festival next year. It's not going to be
that's
just Saturday,
that's the
Sunday.
plan.
We're going to throw Friday night in there, too.
That's the plan.
It's the plan, man.
That's the plan. So we're gonna keep trying. We haven't given up. We had some successes this year, so we might as well continue with our success.
That's true. That's true.
I'm pleased with that. We had more people this year than we had last year, and more than the year before. So each year,
It's
the
growing.
attendance continues to grow, and that's pleasing. That is.
Indeed. So if you are out there tonight, and it's the 21st of September, 2007 even, then you can call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And if you want to reach our office and get involved in the movement in adult marijuana prohibition, call 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. We'll have more numbers and information later, but we do have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hello, sir. I got a couple quick questions for you, gentlemen.
Go right ahead.
I have a seizure disorder, and I don't know who to talk to about getting my card. I don't know where to go or anything of those sorts.
Well, boy, you have called the right show. Because we have hundreds of doctors, maybe dozens at the very least, maybe not hundreds, maybe that's exaggerated, dozens of doctors all across the West who can help you. So if you are in Portland, as you probably are since you're calling during our live Portland television show, you might not know that this airs in Denver and Seattle and Spokane and Salem and a number of other cities.
I had no idea.
But we have a physician referral service where we can help you find a physician who, if you have one of the qualifying conditions for medical marijuana, our physicians can help. So you can call us in Portland there's the qualifying conditions. There's the number in Portland. The graphics people are great. It's 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. If you're in the Portland area, call that number 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and we'll get your message during regular working hours, Monday through Saturday, and we'll call you back and help you find a physician in your area. Now, if you're up in Seattle, as we know, you're probably not, on the phone, but maybe some of you watching are, you can call this number. It's 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. If you're up in Denver, Colorado, and we have an office in Denver, Colorado, then you can call us at 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. We also have offices in Bend, Oregon, and Honolulu, Hawaii, and Kapa'a, Hawaii, and Hilo, Hawaii, and other places I won't bore you with right now. But you can call from any place else in the whole country. And we have references to lots of doctors throughout California. And that number is 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188.
Okay, can I ask you one more question?
Sure. Thanks for your patience there to let me do my little ad.
Is fibromyalgia a qualifying...
I can't hear.
Is fibromyalgia a qualifying problem?
Definitely. Well, I would say our clinic circle, and where there's a lot of other doctors out there too, but we have 22,000 patients now, and out of those, I would say we've helped at least 3,000 or 4,000 fibromyalgia patients get a medical marijuana permit.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Fibromyalgia is kind of a new diagnosis. It didn't really exist until the 1960s. In fact, one of the first people to be officially diagnosed with fibromyalgia was President John F. Kennedy. He had a pretty painful back condition and some other problems that they finally diagnosed as fibromyalgia. But we have a film clip we're going to roll now. We'll be back in just a second to discuss it and take more phone calls and talk more about how to end adult marijuana prohibition, restore industrial hemp, and help medical marijuana patients. Stay tuned.
Hemp is left on the ground to rest depends on the weather. The swaths must be turned to get a uniform rest. When the woody core breaks away readily, like this, the hemp is about ready to take up and bind into bundles. Well-retted hemp is light to dark gray. The fiber tends to pull away from the stalk. The presence of stalks in the bowstring stage indicates that retting is well underway. When hemp is short or tangled, or when the ground is too wet for machines, it is bound by hand. A wooden buck is used. Twine will do for tying, but the hemp itself makes a good band. When conditions are favorable, the pickup binder is commonly used. The swaths should lie smooth and even with stalks parallel. The picker won't work well in tangled hemp. After binding, hemp is shucked as soon as possible to stop further retting. In 1942, 14,000 acres of fiber hemp were harvested in the United States. The goal for 1943 is 300,000 acres. Thus, hemp, Cannabis sativa, the old standby cordage fiber, is staging a strong comeback. This is Kentucky hemp going into the dryer of a mill at Versailles. In the old days, breaking was done by hand, one of the hardest jobs known to man. Now the power breaker makes quick work of it. Spinning American hemp into rope yarn or twine in the old Kentucky River Mill at Frankfort, Kentucky. Another pioneer plant that has been making cordage for more than a century. All such plants will presently be turning out products spun from American-grown hemp. Twine of various kinds for tying, winding armatures, and upholsterers' work. Rope for marine rigging and towing, for hay forks, derricks, and heavy-duty tackle. Light-duty fire hose. Thread for shoes for millions of American soldiers. And parachute webbing for our paratroopers. As for the United States Navy, every battleship requires 34,000 feet of rope, and other craft accordingly. So here in the Boston Navy Yard, where cables for frigates were made long ago, crews are now working night and day making cordage for the fleet. In the old days, rope yarn was spun by hand. Today, even the rope walk is mechanized. 160 fathoms to go. The rope yarn feeds through holes in an iron plate. This is Manila hemp from the Navy's rapidly dwindling reserve. When that is gone, American hemp will go on duty again. Hemp for mooring ships. Hemp for tow lines. Hemp for tackle and gear. Hemp for countless naval uses, both on ship and shore. Just as in the days when old Ironside sailed the seas victorious, with her hempen shrouds and hempen sails. Hemp for victory.
Hemp for victory. That's what I'm for.
I agree.
I'm for ending hemp prohibition so that we can produce hemp for particularly seed oil and biodiesel and plastics and food and all of those
building
things.
materials.
Yep. So I look forward to the day when we can see American hemp industries again. And we're working toward that end. We do have a proposal out there that might do that. So stay tuned. I think this is show, what, 418?
419.
Is this 419?
This is 419.
What? 19. We have one. The next show
Yes.
will be show number 420.
Yes, it will.
Stay tuned. We'll have something there. So it'll be something
planned.
special
I've got something planned.
on show 420. So just hang on to your seats and tune in next week
Yes.
and see what happens.
If you can find Smell-O-Vision out there, you'll want it for next week.
Yeah.
Definitely.
We will take your phone call. If you have a question for us, just call us at 503-288-4448. We have a caller. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hi. My question is about grandchildren and educating them about how and when and how to introduce the whole idea of the medicinal use of marijuana.
Well, I think it's the kind of thing that you might depend on curiosity, or if you're bring it up when it's of concern to you or interest. If it comes up naturally, or you see all these crazy commercials on TV. Sometimes we edit those ourselves, so or critique them at the very least here on this show. Maybe when you're watching one of those, it's a good time to talk about cannabis.
Yeah, so just kind of along the way here and there. But if you're like the caregiver and growing it, do you want to keep them away from that, or just let them? Because they have friends, and you hate to say, well, no, you can't.
It's best for the safety of the kids to keep the kids away from it, especially under the age of 18. There could be custody problems if you don't.
Yes.
And so you want to be sure that if you have a medical marijuana garden, you want to keep it under lock and key, and you want to keep your marijuana under lock and key so they don't have ready access to it. I mean, there's always ways for kids to obtain keys and do things like that, but you've got to take the necessary precautions to make it at least that difficult for them to maintain parental control and not have any problems with snooping authorities.
Well, can it be a custody issue like...
I've seen it be a custody issue in several, I would say dozens of cases, actually.
Even with the grandparents?
Well, yeah, I've seen it in grandparents' cases where it's been raised as a custody issue. And I'm thinking of one case in particular up in Yakima just about a month or so ago, but that's not the only one. I've heard of others. So it's one of those things that if the other people involved want to raise it as an issue and try to use it against you, they certainly can do that. I mean, these custody issues are kind of a he said, she said thing anyway.
Yeah.
And so it all depends on what the other side wants to concentrate on, to be honest. However, if there's intervention by state authorities into custody matters, then they will bring that up as well. In fact, in rural areas, especially in eastern Washington, they don't allow people with medical marijuana permits to have custody of their children if they know about it.
I see.
So in Portland, that's not the case, but still, it could be an issue in any sort of custody fight.
Even if you have it under the lock and key?
Yeah, even if you have it under... Well, you've got to have it under lock and key, or it could be a state issue, even in Portland.
Well, thank you very much.
Sure.
Okay.
Happy to help.
Bye.
Bye-bye. If you have a question for us tonight, call 503-288-4448. There you have it. I think we have a question from the studio. Let's get that studio mic live and go right ahead. What have you got to say
Hi, Paul.
this evening?
Hi, Paul.
Hey.
I was wondering, I know that there's a lot of doctors out there that the foundation has its referral service, but do you think that people should ask their own doctor unless they know that for sure that their doctor is opposed or is
I think that's wise. No? That's what I would definitely do, is if your own doctor can and is willing to cover it, then that's the best place to start. These other doctors that specialize in cannabis are solely doing it because most doctors won't. And a lot of people don't want it in their permanent medical records that they have a medical marijuana permit, so they like to have it somewhere kind of off the map.
And that's where these cannabis specialists come in. But if you don't mind that it's in your permanent medical record file, or that could be looked at by insurance and employers, then it could be something that you can have your mainstream doctor take care of. But if you don't want your insurers or employers to know about that, then you want to go to a cannabis specialist that can keep it completely private. Did that help? I think so.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, so I see that they're talking about a 420 party show. We'll see about that. I don't know about a party show. Gee, what is that?
Were they asking permission?
Say? I can't see it behind the lights. What does that say?
I can't read it.
Me either.
Sorry. I still can't read it.
Oh, do we have that video?
Ah.
Is that video ready? No. Okay. Well,
that brings up an issue, though. The last person that was talking, they're really talking about security.
that's true.
And securing your garden, securing any of the produce of your garden, is incredibly important. And
Sure.
And if you have kids around, you don't want kids to have access to stuff they're not supposed to have access to. And because of that, there are parts of the law that do describe the way you're supposed to secure things. And I think it's very important. At the same time, the lady, I understand. I had small kids, and I don't any longer. They grew up. I fed them, and I treated them right, and they're good. But I did worry when they were little, and I definitely wanted to make certain that they weren't exposed to something they weren't supposed to be exposed to. But at the same time, I wanted them to have knowledge. I really wanted them to understand that if anything was ever going to happen to me, that thered be a problem, and that they should know why I do what I do.
Exactly. I've had a similar talk to my kids.
Yeah.
We're doing this television show. I've had a talk with their teachers. Most of their teachers are very supportive, I might add. A lot of them are regular watchers of the show.
Not surprised by that.
There's a lot of closet watchers out there. We know that, too. We're going to talk a little bit more about security in a second, but we got a phone call. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Hello, Paul.
Howdy.
How? Good evening, Paul, and your friend. I'm a patient for 5-6 years, as you know of, and I met you quite a few times. I just renewed the card in your office there about last month.
All right. Well, congratulations.
But the bad news is that I saw your program last Friday, and I have plants outdoor, and they were growing 6-7 feet, 3 plants. And that same night, last Friday, about 2 o'clock, somebody came in and ripped off 2 of them and jumped on the fence of the Clackamas County Park behind me. And then Saturday night...
Well, now is the season that the rip-offs are out.
And
We have our own medicinal garden in southeast Portland, and we had a break-in. The guy had a big butcher knife with a blade on it about that long, and he had some big clippers, and he came in there. It was 2 people, actually. 2 big old guys jumped the fence, and then we have 4 people sleeping in that backyard, and they got up, and the dog went out, and these guys jumped the fence. We have some very humorous video of this one guy. We have an 8-foot-tall fence with 3 or 4 feet of lattice above it. Guy jumps over and pushes his way through the lattice, and then he flips over, and his foot's hanging there in the lattice. He must have landed on his head, So hopefully he got hurt. I wish the dog had got him. That's what I am all in favor of the police getting these guys.
Yes, absolutely.
They are. That the police should come and arrest these guys. And once they're stealing marijuana, not only do they get them for theft, they also get them for possession with intent to distribute.
That's right.
Manufacturing marijuana, because they're out there trying to take it from medical patients. I'm 100% in favor of having those thieves arrested.
Yeah, I live right across from...
So they jumped the fence. This was what? We're doing this show Friday night. They jumped the fence on Wednesday night, and that was at about 4 in the morning. And then on Thursday night, they came by at about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, about 9:30. And this time they're in a tree in a neighbor's yard trying to... And then our guy went out there and he chased them down the street, and the guy jumped some other fence into a backyard. But, it's the season when the rip-offs are out, because now
between now and the next 3 or 4 weeks is when the flowers are starting to harvest. You know, this guy had some big knife. Fortunately, he dropped it. Hopefully, he couldn't find it when he needed it. But one guy jumped the fence, and another guy hid in a plant and broke up a bunch of the plants for these patients, you know. So that's just what's happened here recently, just in our garden, too. So you had 2 of yours stolen. Last year, I had 5 of ours stolen. This year, we just lost some branches and things and tops. But they didn't get away with them. We got those back, but they're premature.
Right, I got all 3 of them taken care, and I even talked to the deputy sheriff that lives right across from my house, and he was very sad.
Well, one thing you can do, too, is, you know, follow the trail of leaves. Follow the yellow brick road and try to find them, you know, and once you do, go knock at their door and say, and send the police there. You know,
I would suggest that, too.
Rip-off.
This is a theft, a break-in, a burglary.
If you can solve the crime and tell the police where the offender is, they don't have any choice but to go in there and try to bust him.
Sure, I appreciate that. Thank you very much. And
that's what I would recommend is, you know, we're legal. We've gone through years of work and lots of pain and suffering to be able to get these medical marijuana permits, and now it's our turn to be protected from the thieves out there. And, you know, nothing's worth your life for some major injury. You know, that's where you want the police to come deal with these people. But don't risk your life or limb for your medicine, even though it might mean your life or limb in the long run. It's still wise to let the police intervene.
Them. It was almost 7-8 months of...
I have no problem if you shoot them in the legs, you know, or the knee or something, you know. That's okay by me, too.
It took so long to grow that big, 7-8 months of looking after and all the fertilizers and everything, and somebody comes and rob you.
Exactly.
That's right.
That is very unfair and very immoral.
You're right.
The sheriff of my friend and other people, they were very...
I am a believer that if you are out there doing things to hurt people, something's going to hurt you. And your karma is going to run over your dogma. And you're going to get yours somehow, and you're sowing evil things if you're out there stealing, especially if you're stealing patients' medicine. You know, that's just completely immoral. That's doubly immoral. You've got stealing, you got hurting sick people, put them all together, and it's even worse. And if there is any kind of karmic revenge, then it's going to be a big problem for them.
That's what I request that I was pretty sad, and if you have any help for anybody, you have my number and everything on your ID. And
okay, man. Well, you hang in there.
Let me know.
Come harvest season, I think we'll all share in the bountiful produce of another successful season.
We'll keep it up, and
we're getting ready for Oregon Normal's Medical Cannabis Awards. That's always a lot of fun.
True.
We're talking about getting a Great Northwest Marijuana Harvest Fest concert going in Oregon and Washington. Stay tuned. We'll have more developments on that in the future Cannabis Common Sense shows. The Great Northwest Marijuana Harvest Fest.
I like it.
I do too.
That's where we are.
I know. So we might as well have it.
That's what's about to happen, so we might as well do something like have a party.
I think
I like that thought.
Thank you very much.
Talking to some major acts. We'll see if they come through. We'll let you know. So we'll have it in a big venue. Something like the Memorial Coliseum or Rose Garden here in Portland. Maybe Key Arena up in Seattle.
That'd be a party.
Show. All right. So there you have it. I'll tell you, there's this reptilian thing, this big reptile that's wandering around our studio here, and my son seems to particularly like to move them around. But you got to keep them out of the wires.
That's true.
The guitars.
I've been anxious all night.
He's gotten over there in your guitar area. I've seen you.
Oh, I don't mind that. He's always been good around my guitars, but there's a lot of wires around the studio. So
well, I'll tell you, he gets in our garden and he digs holes and he goes and starts burrowing down, which is good for mixing the soil and keeping it up. They're good for that.
He's a mighty big mole, though, isn't he?
He's a very big tortoise.
Yes.
He's a very, very large creature.
Now, how much does he weigh now? He's close to 75 to 100 pounds, isn't he?
I think 60 to 70. I'm not sure. We'll have to check with Andrew.
I can't tell all those things. Anyway, you know what? You are seeing another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. And next week, we're going to be doing show number 420. It's hard to believe, but I've been doing this for over 10 years now, Tim. You've been helping me for
about a year and a half.
A little over a year now, but it's been over 10 years now, and I've done 420 shows. The next one will be number 420. We'll have to tune in next week and see what surprises we can come up with.
I can't wait to see what will happen.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And we do have a caller. Hello, caller. You are our last caller for the evening.
Okay, hi, Paul.
Hey.
How's it going?
Pretty darn well. How are you?
Could be better, could be worse. Anyway, I have a question, and that's around 3 o'clock this afternoon. I go outside, and there's a sheriff's helicopter hovering over my house for about 10 minutes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm a card holder, but I'm just
Are
curious.
you growing outdoors or in?
I have 3 that are just starting to flower that are well hidden outdoors.
They're checking it out, making sure you have the right numbers. We have them circle over our place and take pictures and stuff too.
Oh, okay. That's
But they are out there and they're looking to see if you have 3. Well, you could have 6 actually if you're a medical patient or a caregiver.
Yeah.
You can have 6 per patient. The police can find out how many licenses are at any given address, and so they might come over and count them. And that's happened here in Multnomah County pretty regularly, and in other counties. In fact, I heard that in Central Oregon, down in Lane County, they were landing in people's garden patches, and teams of federal agents in SWAT uniforms would jump out with guns at their side and say, count the plants. And if you're under your number of plants, they don't bother you. If you're over, then they pick out the best ones and harvest them for their private pension fund.
Yeah.
But
so what do they do? Do they?
That's exactly what happens. But they have surrounded a couple of people and made them destroy their tape recording pictures. That's the thing. They do not want to be recorded in the act of pillaging and stealing marijuana. So
what they're doing is they're like taking pictures or whatever, and then checking to see if I'm a card holder.
Exactly.
Okay.
And how many patients are at that location, and make certain you're within your numbers. If single patient here in Oregon can flower up to 6 plants,
right?
And so
I'm
if you
aware
only
of
have
that.
3, that's fine.
I was just curious if I was going to expect to knock at my door or whatever.
You're in the Portland area, right?
Yeah,
I don't think you will. I think they're just up there. They circle our place sometimes too.
Yeah, he hovered for a good 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck's going on?
And he probably checked with the health department and thought, okay, this is a legal one. Leave him alone.
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks a lot, kiddo. You have a good night.
You're welcome.
Okay.
It's certainly no fun. What were you going to say, Tim?
If they didn't check with the health department, if they do show up to your door, that's the first thing you want to ask them is, maybe you forgot to check the health department.
Yeah,
because if
right.
you are registered,
I would recommend if they do show up at your door, if they don't have a warrant, don't let them in. If they don't have a warrant, you should only say one thing. It's, I have to talk to a lawyer before I answer any questions. And no, officer, you do not have permission to search. And don't even open your door to take a card from them. But that's the end of that for tonight. I want to remind our viewers out there that if you or a loved one need medical marijuana for any of the many things it can help, we know doctors throughout the West that can help you. Just call that number on your screen. It's 503-235-4606. That's 503-235-4606. Up in Seattle, the number is 206-878-1701. That's 206-878-1701. If you're in Denver, and this show is the most popular show on Denver cable access, then you can call us at 303-403-9996. That's 303-403-9996. If you're outside of Denver, Seattle, and Portland, but anywhere in the western United States, we know doctors throughout the West who can help you. Just call us at 1-800-723-0188. That's 1-800-723-0188. I want to thank you for watching show number 419 of Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells you the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition. Tune in next week to see show number 420, and remember that we are working to end adult marijuana prohibition, and restore hemp. Good night. Get it, Tim.